Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies both new and old with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. And to avoid lazy negativity, we've decided to make this episode a drinking game. So anytime we say anything negative at all about this film, about each other, about how Dave uses sex the way some people use a fly swatter. Sorry, Therese. You're going to hear this sound. This sound means we're taking a drink, and we hope you drink along with us.
Oh, my God.
So, boys, I can't concentrate. Pour yourselves a glass. Fuck it. Go fuck yourself.
Drink along with us, friends. Cheers.
I lost it.
That's right. That's right, people. That is a quote from our film of the week, which is North by Northwest. The random year generator spun 1959. We went through the list of movies and we decided that North by Northwest was the one for us. Dave had never seen it before. I just saw it once last year on Tubi with a bunch of commercials, although John and I did purchase this because it's only $4.99 to buy. And then obviously a lot of Hitchcock packs you could get. So we're going to give Dave's first watch our rewatches. We're going to talk about this Hitchcock classic from 1959, starring, if you're looking at John's screen on YouTube, people, we do have a YouTube channel. It stars Cary Grant. No, you were right the first time. Yeah. Cary Grant, Eva Marie Saint, who you may know from On the
know
Wall,
who you are,
and James Mason, a.k.a. the professor from Lolita. That's right, Alfred Hitchcock's classic, written by Ernest Lehman. Amazing score. Great shot. You guys excited to talk about this movie today?
Oh, yeah.
If you're new to the show, we are a drinking podcast. We drink for real, so we are going to try to ease into it a little bit. We're going to tell you the context of what was happening around the world and some film context. And I'll just tease it this year. I didn't really know this until I started looking up the year 1959, but CBS cites this man named Fred Kaplan, who is a journalist, who thinks that 1959 was one of the most pivotal years of the 20th century, even more than 1968 and 1945.
Oh, I can't wait to learn why.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna tease why. We got a couple gripes to get us drinking. So if you need to get to your North by Northwest content, if you're in a hurry and you're on the go, check the show notes. We do keep them accurate. Any mini reviews from you guys today? We had some busy weeks. Everybody's working. You guys are working professionals.
I'm working like crazy.
Dave's doing the show. He's in theater. John directed a movie last week, which is awesome. I guess that sound means no mini reviews for us this week.
Yeah, I don't think I've.
What kind of movie was it?
I do. We did go to the movie theater, and that might not be the best way to kick that off, but I saw
glowing review so far. All right, mini review. Yeah. Do you want to do your sponsors first? Do your sponsors first.
Yeah, and let me pull up the information on that movie. Just okay. We have a couple sponsors. You've heard their names before. Carlos Barroso provides all the beer in our heads, our imaginations, our hearts, sometimes the tummies of the New York co-hosts, not the LA host. I miss your beer, Carlos Barroso. cbarroso.beer. You can follow him. He has a fun page going with all the beer-making shenanigans. We also have a music artist in residence that goes by the name Dasein, Dasein. You can find their music available on every music platform, and you can hear their music at the beginning, almost the end, and the end of all of our episodes. All right, so
you need to stop trying to use that segment to convince Carlos to traffic his beer, because he's not sending it to California.
Carlos, give me your fucking beer. Get in the car.
Why would he say get in your car?
Get in your car.
Get in the car. Right. Take a road trip.
I just got an image of him in the Dukes of Hazzard car now. Boot full of moonshine.
Just to give
you guys should do we should do a podcast on the road, and you guys can just slowly come to me. And eventually I'll just get a road beer.
Yeah, we'll be out of beer.
Dave's running the show from a satellite. Yeah, we'll definitely be out of beer. All right, we're ready for your mini review, John. Whenever
one mini review.
I saw.
Here we go. Okay, so we saw Goodrich, that Michael Keaton, Mila Kunis, Hallie Meyers-Shyer directed movie. I don't know if you guys have seen a trailer for it or anything, but
no.
Okay, Michael Keaton kind of plays a dad to much younger children from a much younger wife. Mila Kunis is his daughter from his first marriage, and she's obviously Mila Kunis, a grown woman, and she's having her own child. And the young mother, is kind of out of the picture from the jump. This would be information in the trailer, so I'm not giving anything away that's going to ruin the movie. She kind of is out of the picture immediately because she's going into rehab, and he has to become a full-time dad. But he runs an art studio in LA. It's kind of a feel-good piece about family, reconnecting with the kids that are young and being a good dad, and also trying to show up and be a good dad to his adult daughter, who didn't feel like she had a very good relationship with him because he was working all the time when she was young. Hallie Meyers-Shyer, she's Nancy Meyers' daughter. And God, what's their father's name? Shyer is his name. I can't remember his first name, but he directed the first Father of the Bride, so Nancy Meyers movies, until she started directing her own stuff. So there may be a little bit of life imitating art kind of stuff here in the movie. Michael Keaton is super fucking charming. This is a nice feel good piece. I was happy that it was in the movie theater. It was not a packed theater, but there were probably 20 of us in a 40-person, a smaller theater, and it was in the middle of the week, so it seems to be doing okay. I think a lot of people will probably wait to see this on streaming. See it in the movies if you want. Definitely give it a shot when it's on streaming if you want to have one of those, kind of a good, feel-good, sentimental, some good comedy, charming, coming of age with the kids and learning how to be a good dad again kind of movie. Michael Keaton, he is still writing. He started Birdman and he had never stopped, did he? I feel like he has been making one or two movies a year. A lot of them this level, this independent film level. I don't even know if this was totally independent, but anyway, I saw it.
Nice.
Go see it. It was fun.
Cool.
Nice. Charming. All right.
Goodrich.
Let's get the drinks flowing with some gripes. I have a gripe. Anybody else have a gripe?
I have one.
All right,
Just
Dave,
one.
let's take it away.
You want to go or I go?
I guess you could go. We'll set the 1 minute gripe timer, 1 minute buzz free, let it rip.
All right. So have you heard of this film called The Wild Robot?
Yeah.
It's an animated film, and they're saying it's really, really good, really heartfelt. It'll give Iron Giant a run for its money for the feels and that sort of stuff. I didn't get to see it, but one of the reasons that a lot of people didn't see it is because they only booked it for a 3-week theater spin and then sent it straight to streaming.
Right.
So they took it out of theaters and put it in streaming while it was number 2 at the box office. Are they just fucking shooting themselves in the foot now, or what?
It's a DreamWorks movie, so where is it streaming now? Who are they affiliated with, streaming wise?
I don't know. I just know they took it out of theaters. You got 3 weeks in theaters. I guess it's heading for streaming, but it was number 2 at the box office when they pulled it.
So it's not in any theater anymore. They're not even doing both.
No.
Wow.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, right now you can rent it on YouTube and other places for $24.99, including Apple TV.
Yeah, do you think it's just going to do a VOD run for a little bit?
I mean, it probably.
So
but that's the thing. I get it. You book your slot in the theater, but there's really nothing else that can interfere with it. Just extend the fucking thing if it's number 2 at the box office.
What was the title again?
The Wild
Robot. You haven't seen the trailer for this? It's kind of annoying, actually, the trailer, but it apparently has really good. It has really good ratings.
It's going to be on Peacock 4 months after its theatrical release, so I guess they're going to ride VOD for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Weird.
Yeah. Okay.
It seems weird.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it being available on VOD.
Decision for a studio that wants to survive.
I guess I don't mind it being on VOD for a lot. That's $25 is a lot for a VOD. That's assuming more than one person's watching, because that's an in-person movie ticket in a premium.
But
city.
My point is, they did it while it was number 2 at the fucking box office.
Yeah, no, your point stands. I don't understand. And they fucking rolled out, again, I know this town does it different than every other town on fucking earth, but there are billboards everywhere. They pushed the shit out of it. They wanted everybody to go see this movie, and it's only in the theater for 3 weeks. I was maybe going to go see it this week. You know what I mean? For people who don't have kids,
I mean, you might still be able to find it.
Theater.
You might still be able to find it somewhere. I can't imagine they only booked 3 weeks with all the chains.
Weird.
But
anyway,
fuck it. Just starting to disappear earlier and earlier. But you want your fucking money or not?
They do, just VOD. Jeff, what's
you ready?
Getting your goat this week?
I have a gripe. And it started with, I did listen to a podcast on microplastics. Why are we wrapping cucumbers in condoms? All of a sudden, a few years ago, we just decided that all cucumbers had to avoid skin-to-skin contact. It was too sexy, so we wrapped them up, every single one of them, one by one. So apart from the microplastics killing us all, they're so hard to get off. They're harder to peel back on after you get it off. The only technique is to grip it with your full palm and pump to get the plastic up and down. Now, peppers, onions, tomatoes, spuds, yams, leafy greens, boob-shaped cabbages and lettuce, they all get freaky with some grocery store skin-to-skin. They share a shower a few times a day, a little spritz. But no, cucumbers are the bunnies of the produce aisle. Hell, even carrots, which make snowmen fertile, are loose when not bundled together in a sack. But we must save the kids from the cucumbers. Just think, when those cucumbers start to go bad and rot, and liquid rot juices seep into the tip of those tightly wrapped plastic sheaths, let's just say it wouldn't have passed the censorship consultants and Leave It to Beaver.
Are you talking about Trader Joe's specifically?
No, every single grocery
English
store.
Cucumbers.
Well, they're very phallic. Yeah, but I mean,
in there.
every grocery store, they just wrap cucumbers in plastic now. Well, none of the other ones. Even zucchinis we don't, but cucumbers we do. What happened?
It's fucking
Most people peel the skin off anyway.
I mean, they've been wrapping lettuce in plastic for years.
I mean, first of all, stop with the plastic. I'm drinking, Deb. I'm drinking.
Microfilm is
First of all,
everywhere.
stop with the plastic. Stop with the plastic. It's in the rain now. The microplastic's in the rain.
I thought it would stop when during an autopsy they found it in someone's penis, and all the guys who were like, that's it, no more fucking plastics. In my dick.
No, that just means it's working.
Thought that would have done it.
I don't get it. Nobody asked for this. Nobody asked for it. Every single cucumber is individually wrapped in plastic. It's so dumb. Guys, no more plastic.
I blame Twin Peaks.
It's so dumb.
All right.
Are you guys ready to... Let's get it. We can do it right into the film year here. You guys ready to do it?
I'm really excited to learn why this year is so intriguing. Yes.
All right, we're going to start with the film year, as always, before we get into the world news year. And I'm going to try to keep that quick, because, again, there's a lot of good stuff that went on. I don't want to take all day. Let's talk about movies, people. We always start with the box office here. This is a no-doubter. What was the highest grossing film that was released in the year 1959?
Well, I feel like that's a trick question.
No, it's just because Anti-Mame was one of the highest grossing movies of this year, and it came out the year before. Anti-Mame. The Compton and Green film.
Dave, do you have a guess at all?
1959. Nope. I love this that every week we choose the movie together, but we're already a little intoxicated because we do it at the end of the episode, so that the next week you never remember the movies that we talked about.
You didn't remember the movie we picked.
I never remember the movie.
Let me guess.
I'm a part of this. I do the research, though.
Let me guess. Give me a hint. Is it animated or is it live action?
Live action.
Is it Some Like It Hot?
No, that's a good guess. Some Like It Hot was pretty high up there. I'll give you a hint. At least one animal died while making this movie.
Ben-Hur.
Yes, dude.
I think yes. Humans also died making that
I believe
movie.
so. Nobody knows for sure, though. I did look it up. And some people said 100.
Compression tank was exposed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of it during that chariot sequence. Yeah. Ben-Hur made a lot of money. And we don't have good international numbers. Let's just say it made a lot of money. Number 2 is The Shaggy Dog, the Buena Vista Picture.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah. Operation Petticoat, the Universal Picture, comes in at number 3. Some Like It Hot, as I said, John, comes in at number 4. Now, if you look at other metrics, like at Box Office Mojo had Some Like It Hot at number 2, but in this one, it's number 4. Pillow Talk comes in at number 5. And to round out the top 10, we have Imitation of Life, Suddenly Last Summer, Rio Bravo, The Nun's Story. Apparently, they always do this fucking shit in Wikipedia. There's 11 movies, but 2 tied for 8. There's no 9. If 2 tied for 8, there's no 9. Can we just be clear about that? But anyway, 9 was North by Northwest, and 10 is Anatomy of a Murder. William Wyler's Ben-Hur was the most expensive film up to this day with a budget of million. Premiered at Low State Theater in New York City. And it would go on to win a record 11 Academy Awards, which has only been tied twice by Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, and Titanic. William Wyler, of course, would win Best Director. He would also win Best Picture. He did that at least twice. That might have actually happened 3 times for him. A couple other things about this film here. Walt Disney releases his 16th animated film, Sleeping Beauty, in Beverly Hills. It's Disney's first animated film to be shown in 70 millimeters and use a modern 6-track stereophonic sound. But its last it was the last fairy tale adaptation until 1989. They had a 30-year break from feature films adapted from fairy tales. So Little Mermaid came back as. Right.
Wow.
Grand Canyon was the animated short this year, which would go on to win the Academy Award for documentary short. Just as a reminder, Walt Disney got all of those documentary short Oscars, so he has 22 Oscars. By he has, I mean because he's still alive, his brain is frozen somewhere, and we're going to bring him back.
It's inside the Mickey Mouse statue at the front of Disney World.
This is a big year for French New Wave, because Les Cousins, another film of the French New Wave, wins the Golden Bear at the Berlin Film Festival. And Francois Truffaut's The 400 Blows opens the 1959 Cannes Film Festival. So those 2 films brought about the French...
There.
Oh.
400 Blows.
Oh, sorry about that. The Three Stooges released their 190th and last short film, Sappy Bull Fighters. And then a contract...
190th.
Wait, are you guys... Are you ready to throw up here? A contract between Paramount and Jerry Lewis Productions is signed, specifying a payment of $10 million plus 60% of the profits for 14 films over a 7-year period. This contract makes Lewis the highest paid individual Hollywood talent has to date, and is unprecedented, and that he has unlimited creative control, including Final Cut and the return of film rights after 30 years. How pretty cool is that? Wow. Dave, Australian film actor Errol Flynn dies of a heart attack in Vancouver, Canada.
Yep.
Sorry to hear about that. Sorry to hear about your boy. And then the Battle of the Smellies starts with the release of the documentary Behind the Great Wall in Aromarama, with scents pumped into the theater during the film, which I thought Disney World does that. I thought there would be more of that, to be honest with you.
I mean, it didn't last too long.
No, because it's wild. That's a horrible idea. That's horrible. I was right. William Wyler has 3 Oscars for directing alone. I believe he has 2 more for writing, but I could be wrong about that. He's tied with Frank Capra, 1 behind John Ford, for 3 directing Oscars, and all 3 of his pictures that he directed to Oscar success also won Best Picture. So that was a nice little thing. Yada, 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 yada. And he has the record with Steven Spielberg for directing the greatest number of Best Picture nominees. Spielberg and Wyler have both directed 13 Best Picture nominees. How fucking crazy is that? How many people?
While you're still on William
films?
Wyler, $15 million, folks. Back then, adjusted for inflation. I just looked it up. I couldn't help myself. Do you guys have any guesses? $15 million in 1959.
$240 million?
$375 million.
Oh my God. Oh my God. What's funny is we laugh, but I bet you there are probably some TV shows that probably have pushed that envelope a little bit.
Yeah.
Like some of those Star Wars shows. Okay, just a couple things about the Oscars. Ben-Hur won a whole bunch, but then Charlton Heston did win for Best Actor. That's right. And then he shot everyone to death afterwards. Let's see.
Do you remember when we watched that movie together and we were like, wow, this is so good. And then it ends with Jesus. We were like, what the fuck is going on? Just that Jesus really comes out of nowhere. I was like, honestly, that really...
Who knew it was his origin story?
Who knew?
Honestly.
Simone Signoret won for Room at the Top for Best Actress. Hugh Griffith wins Supporting Actor for Ben-Hur. And Shelley Winters for Diary of Anne Frank. Let's see. A couple categories, though. William Wyler beat George Stevens, Diary of Anne Frank, Fred Zinnemann, Legend for The Nun Story, Jack Clayton for Room at the Top, and Billy Wilder for Some Like It Hot. That's a pretty stacked category there in Best Picture.
Yeah,
and Best Actress. Christ. You know who did not win Best Actress? Katharine Hepburn, Elizabeth Taylor, Audrey Hepburn, and Doris Day. All would lose to Simone Signoret. That is a pretty stacked category there. Any other films that you want to shout out from this year?
Awesome. From this year, I'm glad No, I think we're good. You get it, folks. It's a great year, as we say every year, but there's a lot of ones that are worth watching. That Room at the Top, that might be one that I would push the hardest on people.
Yeah. All right, cool. So again, the context, and I actually wish when we did Chinatown, we set it up even more, that there was Chinatown came out in 1974, which was the year of Nixon, his resignation, the Watergate files, the Woodward book, the pardon. And we watched a movie about government corruption,
cynicism,
like all of it. Like I wish I made that gap. So let's see if we can do this. So North by Northwest, if you know or don't know, it's kind of a spy story. It's all over the country. Famously Mount Rushmore, which is also behind John. I think they're in Chicago. They're in South Dakota for they're all over the place. Starting in New York City.
Chicago.
Do they go to Chicago? They talk about it.
Yeah,
do, right?
He's about an hour and a half out of it.
You thought Rushmore was somewhere near Chicago.
Yeah. Fuck everybody. Where'd my phone go? Where'd my buzzer go? Wait, hold on.
Yeah, buzz me. Yeah, sure, I'm ready. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I got it.
What the fuck happened? There we go. Yeah, fuck everybody.
You dickhead.
Yeah, because fuck you. You're part of this. You're not absolved. Okay, so are you guys ready? I have three categories of things that are awesome. The first one is women's lib. Now, ironically, they mentioned Barbie doll making its first appearance, and I was like, is this really like a women's lib story? I didn't really know that. But actually,
meant to be.
So in 1959, the first Barbie doll came out. But actually, the birth control came out this year. And it coincided with not just a sexual revolution, but it allowed women to get jobs, to advance professionally. It was... I didn't know the birth control allowed people to get jobs, but apparently, along with other things, it just was a sign of progress and a sign of the times.
And you can maintain a job without being pregnant every time you want to enjoy yourself.
Kids, just in case you're listening to this in the future and the election went the wrong way, birth control stops you getting pregnant when you're fucking.
Which you can only do when married. And if your uncle is involved, apparently that's okay.
Whoa.
Hey, you go, these fucking people in the no exceptions, Dave. Buzz the GOP. I can't believe this election is going to be fucking close. I can't believe it.
I know. It makes me want to fucking vomit and take a shit.
I'm going to throw up everywhere. Country. Oh my God. Okay. Next category here is civil rights. So a federal commission held hearings about the civil rights issues. This is 1959. There was a very serious lynching that led to a lot of public outcry. A couple other things here that happened. The first lady of song, Ella Fitzgerald, becomes the first black woman to win a Grammy. How about that? At the inaugural award show in 1959. Lorraine Hansberry's A Raisin in the Sun, the first Broadway play written by a black woman, comes out. On January 3rd, George A. Kasem takes office in the United States House of Representatives for California's 25th District, making him the first Arab-American congressperson. All right, so there you go. And then, this isn't exactly related to civil rights, but back to music. Rising American stars Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and J.P. the Big Bopper Richardson, along with the pilot, are killed when their chartered Beechcraft Bonanza plane crashes in Iowa a few minutes after takeoff, as made famous by American Pie, the song that happened here in 1959. Next category, space. The first NASA astronauts are introduced. The first U.S. satellite to photograph Earth. This is 1959. I believe that's the Sagan one. Soviet probe reaches the moon. Luna 1. The first spacecraft to reach the vicinity of the moon and to orbit the sun is launched by the Soviet Union. That would be a different spacecraft. So there you go. A couple fun things happening in space. Similarly, we're going to head right into geopolitics, and this is it. We're going to wrap it up with geopolitics. Nikita Khrushchev becomes the first Soviet head of state to visit the United States. And he is barred from Disneyland. On January 3rd, Alaska becomes the 49th state, and Hawaii would later become the 50th state. The 49th and 50th state, 1959. Big year for them.
Wow. Also,
guys, the first ever Americans killed in Vietnam. We've sort of mentioned this before, 1959. How about that? On March 10th, Tibetans band together in revolt surrounding the summer palace of the Dalai Lama in defiance of Chinese occupation forces. So the Dalai Lama is forced into exile. How about that? January 1st, a lot of shit happened in January this year. Fidel Castro basically took over the Cuban government. Cuban dictator Fulgencio Batista fled the island nation, and Fidel Castro became the leader of Cuba. And to note, the U.S. did recognize him as their leader. How about that? And then I think last but not least for geopolitics is 12 nations, including the United States and the Soviet Union, signed the Antarctica Treaty, which bans military activity and weapons testing on the continent of Antarctica. And actually, I have one more fun one, other than the Guggenheim coming out, which was apparently huge for architecture. Montreal's goaltender, Jacques Plante, becomes the first to wear a face mask. Wuss. The Sound of Music also premiered on Broadway.
They didn't used to wear face masks in hockey?
Until 1959.
Oh
the goalie. How about that?
What a pussy.
He was probably making fun of a lot, right?
Every team had to have 2 fucking goalies just in case.
Right. So again, I think 1945, a couple big things happened. 1968, a couple big things happened, but according to journalist Fred Kaplan, he thinks 1959 was a big turning point year for us.
Does sound like a big fucking year. A lot of shit happened. And of course, this movie we're going to be talking about definitely deals with Cold War shit, which we're kind of right in the thick of that.
Yeah. So there you go. And of course, Kennedy elected the next year. North by Northwest, 1959. Alfred Hitchcock. Guys, this movie was nominated for 3 Oscars, since we're talking about the Oscars, segueing into our conversation here. What 3 Oscars is North by Northwest?
Should we guess?
Recognized?
Definitely.
I would say adapted screenplay.
For sure.
Best writing story and screenplay. It actually, you know what's funny is it says it's in the written directly for the screen. It doesn't say adapted. It just says best writing story and screenplay written directly for the screen. But there is an uncredited French source. So I don't know exactly if there was some. Did Dave push it? You know the button.
Oh, I don't have it. Wait, I took it. It's over here.
Is this category fraud?
Actually, that one manually.
That's right. There is an uncredited French source that was not originally credited, but this is written directly for the screen. This does not mention an adaptation. Maybe it's because it didn't want to compete with Ben-Hur and Pillow Talk and other movies. All right. Yes, of course. Ernest Lehman was nominated for an Oscar. 2 more.
Art whatever.
Art direction, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to guess directing or editing.
Nope.
Like one of those.
Film editing. We'll give you the gush. Even though I already said the directors and this was not one of them. But yeah, we'll give you the gush.
Oh, yeah,
there you go.
Sure.
All right. So North by Northwest. Dave's first watch. John and I rewatched. John, how many times have you seen this? I've only seen it one time, and it was last year. This is the first time I'd seen it in full.
This is probably my 3rd time.
Nice. Okay, cool. This has a 98 Metascore on 16 reviews. All those critics from 1959. Apparently one didn't like it. Okay, cool. So I'm going to read the IMDb description.
One didn't like it.
It's a 98. We're going to read the IMDb description, then we're going to pass it along. What'd you think? What'd you feel? I guess, Dave, we got to start with you because you haven't seen it. It's probably the best thing to do again and again and again. A New York City advertising executive goes on the run after being mistaken for a government agent by a group of foreign spies and falls for a woman whose loyalties he begins to doubt. North by Northwest.
Yeah.
Dave, what'd you think?
I mean, straight up, it starts a little differently, and I was like, holy fuck, title design. There's title design in this one, and it gets into the story at a fucking whip-crapping pace. Like, there's no, they don't fuck around. You're not there 3 minutes, and we're into like inciting incident. I had a lot of fun with this, although I have to say I did find when they settled into the love story banter, dragged out a little bit for me.
Okay.
Not saying it's not a great film, but yeah, I feel like the love story could have been a little punchier.
Not to get ahead of ourselves, though, but did you like the very ending?
Yes.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah,
All right,
John.
It always got me back when
I had a fun rewatch. You know Bernard Herrmann's music from Alfred Hitchcock movies, like if you're a person who like listens to film music and sometimes I forget like which themes belong to which other than the Vertigo one. So I just hadn't listened to this score in a while, and I'm not to say I only like the music. I had a fun rewatch, but the music really stood out to me this time. I love that theme. I love their theme, and I love the big chase theme. For me, still the standout of this film, and I have seen the movie only maybe 3 times. I have watched the crop dusting sequence probably 50 times. I mean, the editing
in
of that sequence.
In at least 5 other movies.
It is unreal how effective that sequence is in the middle. And it's kind of a nutshell for what I think this movie is. Hitchcock was sometimes criticized for being just he's a guy who makes chase films. Like they're all when you like kind of get to the essence of most of his stories, it's about someone who usually gets caught up in a circumstance that shouldn't be in it, like wrongly accused, kind of on the lam, or trying to track down and prove themselves innocent. A lot of his stories kind of have to do with that. And that crop
ripping off a
dusting
bank
sequence,
and just trying to take a shower.
Sure. that whole sequence afterwards is, ridiculous. But that crop dusting sequence is just absolute A+ filmmaking.
Is it better? Is it better than the crop dusting scene in Independence Day? You're supposed to crop dust that property. Are you sure?
I mean, that crop dusting scene's been referenced in everything, right down to like there's even that like an homage to that scene in Guardians of the Galaxy too.
Right, I know. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Some of the set pieces are super famous. This still remains, because I remember this was like one of the very first Hitchcock films I ever saw, and I thought it was going to be, like one of the best movies I had ever seen. I don't think it is. I think it's one of his. It's probably top 5 for some hardcore Hitchcock people. I don't think it's top 3 for sure. I think it's because of what you talked about, Dave. I think that there is a lovely like. Almost a rom-com tone in a lot of the other really good Hitchcock movies where your protagonist is caught up in some kind of thing. That's story A, but their B usually does involve, some romance story. And this one was almost exclusively sexual flirting, and it was like sincere.
Yeah.
And there wasn't as much comedy there. Yeah, it kind of felt so. It kind of always feels like it's the same beat whenever they're in a room together.
It was fun dialogue though. A lot of it, like there was some quirky lines in there, but it's just
of course it's witty.
A lot of quirky lines.
Yeah, and of course it is. This movie is always it always gives me a lot of the classic Hitchcock things I'm looking for. I think it could actually benefit from maybe having a little trimming done. I know it's funny.
You gotta say it. You gotta say it though. No,
I don't know.
It's true.
Because when you watch something like Rear Window or even Vertigo, which is much more hypnotic, you don't really feel like you're in the same scene over and over again. And this one kind of feels repetitive, which might be the juice. Like maybe he wants you to feel like this guy is kind of going in circles a little bit, trying to figure out what the answer is, because it kind of feels that way when you're in his shoes. But anyway, I still had a great rewatch. He's so easy to watch. I know he's famous. Yeah. I know everyone knows his name for a reason, but like it's such watchable films. You can just watch them on repeat.
Do you think with that name comes higher expectations, and that's why we are picking it apart a little more?
Yeah. Well, I think this is the similar to what you're saying. I think this is I didn't necessarily want to rewatch this one. When you guys picked it, I was like, yeah, no, it's great. I'll give it a rewatch. But for some reason, I was like, I did go into this thinking, why is it that I didn't want to rewatch it? I know it's a great film. I would say this is the most like out of all the Hitchcock movies I've seen, which is probably 10. I don't think I've seen like too many of his movies. In fact, I was trying to buy one of those sets. Angela just watched, she did watch Suspicion for a class, and she really wants to watch it with me. I'm like, fuck, I want to watch it. Dial M for Murder, 39 Steps, like a couple of my big misses. But this is the most that I wanted to like just eat popcorn and watch a movie while it was on. Not like ahead of time, but like to what you're saying, it's great. It is smart. It is intelligent. It is kind of brilliant. The concept is really smart. We said this about Psycho. It's like, it's a great story. Yes, the chase is great. The deaths are great. The kills are great. The characters are great. The surprises are great. But the story is so good that the witty dialogue is just like, it bursts out of this tension on screen. And it does that for this one. But yeah, this is definitely, it's like an adventure film of his. That again,
it definitely had swagger.
Popcorn dude.
It definitely had swagger. This is the most fun I think I've seen in a Hitchcock film.
Yeah, and I will say there was a period of time where I was like, I'm not having that good of a time. It's not as fun for me for when he's getting like some serious consequences early on, and it's like it's just kind of like uncomfortable. Like after the first like library sequence, and then he's a great drunk driver, by the way. What a great drunk driver he is.
Don't drink and drive, kids. But if you're gonna do
drink and drive. It's
only
not gonna
do
happen
it to
like
the
that.
theme music in this movie.
He almost fell off the cliff. He almost killed several people. Yeah. But then like after that, and then he was trying to figure out, and they go back to the same house, and it was different. And it's like that wasn't really that fun to watch for me. I have to be honest with you. And then of course the love story stuff at the end. It's like she's an obvious femme fatale, and she's great, Ava Marie Saint. But it's like it happened too fast. That he was. I don't know.
It's like
there's something
like
about
a life
it that was
lesson.
like a little too.
It's like when the beautiful woman is suddenly very forward in the dining car while you're on the run for murder. Be suspicious.
Yeah. But having said that, I guess I'm griping because everything else is fantastic.
Why?
Sorry, I should have buzzed myself. Shut up. I don't know. Everything else, it's really, really well done. It's so well edited, as you said. But also, I think the one thing that is going to help guide most of the stuff is that the dialogue it's not just funny and witty. Like it's just so right for the moment. Like when he's stuck in the light, you have to say something. So when they're sitting there and whoa, my lights went off. So when they sit there and they're like, they lock him in the library, and he's like, you wait here. Like he has to say something, and so he says, sure, I'll just catch up on my reading. Like this, that's funny. If somebody says like, hey, say hi to your wife, we're not talking. Dumb things like that are they're just funny. I think I'd like to meet these killers. Like, dude, there's funny lines like that.
My thought was like, when they locked him in, he's like, yeah, I'm going to catch up my reading. I'm like, some Americans just have no sense of self-preservation. Like, shut up. These guys have put a gun in your guts and loaded you into a car and take it and kidnapped you, and you just quip it away. It's like, although, to be honest, I'd probably do the fucking same. So,
yeah, of course you would.
So
you're
going to get one parting shot, and if I'm going to die, I'm going down swinging.
Yeah. I feel like this, I think adventure is the right word. Because there's I think a lot of his other films people associate with the psychology of being caught in suspense. And this one doesn't have that element to it. I think it's way more straightforward. And like you said, like the story's presented so quickly that maybe if you were watching this for the first time, you tell me, Dave, like the story's presented so fast. Was there a little bit of you that was kind of looking for like the second angle to it? Like, surely that's not the only story. You know what I mean?
No, I was just like, holy fuck, we're in it. Okay, cool. And then it went from 0 to 100 really fast.
What about this? Because this, Dave, I would like to know from you, because I didn't really think about this the first time I watched it, but obviously only my second watch now. I was relieved this time. The first time I was surprised, but this time I was relieved when they tell you pretty early on that the Kaplan, he's kidnapped because they think he is Kaplan. Kaplan does not exist. They made up a Kaplan to try to lure these spies, and then they couldn't catch the spies because they took who they thought was Kaplan, in this case Cary Grant, and they put him in a car. But they tell you this pretty early on. It's like half an hour into this 2 hour and 6 minute movie. You know that
you're in on the gag.
You're in on the gag, but so he's trying to discover this,
but not only
and I
did
guess
they
then
tell
you try to
you
figure out the spies, but
they tell you that they're just going to leave him hanging there to die. As well.
Yeah. They're like, what do you say? Like, good luck, Mr. Thornhill, whoever you are, wherever you are, or something.
I must admit that scene, and there was one other. No, I think it was mostly that scene. Felt like the exposition scene in the village.
But that's at the end.
When they're just explaining.
Scene.
Yeah, I know. When they're just explaining the plot holes, it's like, well, why isn't someone helping him if they think he's a secret agent or something? And and they kind of went, we've made this guy up, but we're not going to help him. And and
I guess
those were the rules of the world, and they just kind of spoke them out loud.
And I wonder, you can guess, and they do a good job, not to teeter into some spoilery stuff for a 60-something-year-old movie, but they do a pretty good job of later in the movie. It comes full circle, because then obviously you find out in a weird way why they're still why they didn't save him.
I know. I just
still
the way I felt at that moment, I was like, oh, this is very exposition-y and clunky, a little bit clunky.
Okay, cool. That was what I was thinking. Yeah, that was wonderful.
Yeah, at that moment.
And you're talking about the moment at the end when the professor explains everything to him, right?
No, the first one. No, the first one. Like 30 minutes into the movie where the 4 people are at the table.
They cut to the people in the room.
And it's the newspaper article. And they're like, Kaplan, there is no Kaplan. And they're like, oh, and then they put it together that they think the spies that they're after.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's I feel like this is an entertaining movie. I just don't think there's as much depth to it as some of his other films because it doesn't really spend a whole lot of time trying to understand. Not that his other films are character-driven films, but there's the flaw within the characters is usually exploited along with the plot, and Cary Grant's character doesn't really have like a very rich flaw.
Except he can't shut his mouth.
He's just a man
but that's
caught in the wrong...
But he's sabbing over the fact that in most Hitchcock films, there's some secret behind the eyes of your lead. In this case, he's a full open book. He's just like, oh, just let me call my mother. Yeah. And she's worried about me. I've been married twice. Like he says that out very flippantly.
He's so charming in it. I mean, he's so... It's funny because, like I say that maybe wanting to have a little bit more depth to his character, but then when you put someone who is like that, who is kind of that open book and is just so eager to try to fix this problem, when you finally get them to a place like the crop dusting sequence, and you see them actually under that kind of duress, I don't know. There is something really brilliant about just in the midst of this Cold War time. Like, do you think this kind of fucked with some people where they were like, God, this could happen to anybody? Like, there's so many spy games going on so much.
Dave thought he was going to be nuked. Dave thought he was going to have a nuclear weapon thrown at him. So yeah, I bet you there were a lot of people that thought spies were all around them.
A lot of people bought into satanic panic too, but it's I don't know if it'd go that far because it became just comical how much this guy incriminates himself as he's going along trying to find out what's going on. Like
the two police
knife really in the back of a UN guy, and he grabs the knife. It's like, what are you fucking doing?
Yeah. Why did he grab the knife out? Yeah. Oh, to me, the last thing that we're just picking out all the gripe. This is literally the opposite of the point of our podcast. But we've done so many good movies, people, that now we have a high bar. I think another thing too. Again, very entertaining movie, very fun. Give it a rewatch, have some fun, eat some popcorn.
I mean, the thing is, like, I wasn't saying it was shit. I'm just saying it's an adventure film, so it becomes comical how he gets into these situations.
Yes. Well, it's same. So for me, I thought it was in Chicago when him and his mother go to Kaplan's room because he knows he finds out from Ava Marie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, from her. I forget if it's that. But he goes to the hotel room, and his mom is the one who says, I'd like to meet these killers. And it's Kaplan's room, and then people call up, and then they end up coming there. Why is he there? What is he doing? Get out of there, dude. You're done. And he's like, he wants to meet this Kaplan so bad. Why? There are people trying to kill him. He doesn't really make it clear if he wants to save Kaplan. He doesn't make it clear if he's mad at Kaplan because of this. Why does he want to? So I feel like that is just to keep the plot going. I
think like when he got busted for the drink driving after they pumped him full of alcohol, and his mother's after him like, just pay the $2 fine.
Yeah,
the $2.
That's right.
Yeah.
In 59, the fine for drink driving was $2. Fucking Biden.
And reminder, he almost went off a cliff. He almost got in about 7 accidents, and somebody was crossing the street, and he almost plowed through them, and his fine was $2.
Also, while we're on the subject of that scene, what the fuck was the guy in the blue car doing?
Oh, there it is.
When he stops and the cops stop, and then this blue car just rams the cop car from behind. Was he chasing the cop car, chasing someone?
They were both going very fast. They were both going very fast.
So like a guy from Sleano and Barnes or something? Like, fucking, there's going to be an accident.
Did you want the Mufasa moment at the end too, where the guy, Scar, brother, and the guy like steps on his hand? Did you want the
sure. That shot came out of nowhere. That was good. I think more than anything that I take away from this movie is, which I guess, if you were acknowledging what you guys are saying, that, we're not looking for depth and significance here. This is just pure craft. And when you allow yourself to do that, I think you can just get kind of swept up in the Hitchcock style, like pretty easily. The way he like bookends the whole train sequence with that interesting, like, it's a camera on the side of on the thing, and it pans over, and then you enter a world, and the whole train sequence happens, and then it exits from there. With the same kind of motif. There are so many visual motifs that he applies that are, very trademark him. It's not like he was doing a lot of stuff for the very first time, but it's still just so perfectly composed and perfectly timed that you kind of can't help. It feels like when you were watching Spielberg, like when he was in his heyday, like it kind of didn't matter if it had a lot of depth to what was happening. The filmmaking was so fucking compelling that you just have a smile on your face when you watch this movie.
You want to know the thing that amazed me was some of like when they threw the camera up high and put a matte painting in front of it to get some of the scenes. Like we paused the movie and I had like a 5-minute discussion where I was explaining how they did it with my wife, and that was the most, like, I had the most fun doing that. It was like some of the matte painting work in this film is spectacular.
So the matte painting they use for Rushmore is it was, at least for the past few years, hanging in the Academy Museum here.
Oh, cool.
And it's just fucking beautiful. It's glorious. I
went to that last year.
I'm not gonna lie, a little bit. Yeah, it's cool. I got on a little bit because I was trying to see. I was like, what mid-century modern house did they film that sequence in? I thought it was just a house that I didn't think it was right next to Mount Rushmore, but I figured it was somewhere. It's not. It's not anywhere. They built that. They built that house and put matte paintings behind it of the forest and a little bit of Rushmore because it's not, it's not totally in front of Rushmore, but they built so many of this. The art direction is through the roof. I mean, there's just his sets. He has this amazing ability, and tell me if you guys agree with this. I never ever think, unless you're like in the crop dusting sequence, any interior, it all feels like a set, but it doesn't look cheap at all. You know what I mean? It doesn't. It feels like you were sitting in front of tungsten lights and stuff, but it works. There's some aesthetic to it that heightens
interiors because I walk that path every day every other day to go to one of my gigs. So
just because it's not the actual.
Yeah, I had endless fun though looking at it. I'm like, what angles are you using there? Did that used to be the Apple Store? No, it's not. But it was the other door. But like, just what? No, it was seriously the angle he used. I thought it was the angle where the Apple Store now is. And stuff, but there's a whole supermarket where there's used to be a bank of lockers and stuff there, and it was just fun to turn the clock back 70 years and see Grand Central at that time.
Yeah,
a lot of these locations were on fucking location. Like when they're on the train, the rear projection outside the window is a camera going up the fucking Hudson.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. That's pretty good. Because I was like, is this the same lake over and over again? I was like, oh yeah, it's the Hudson River.
And there's some things you forgive, like when him and her, when he's pretending to be a porter and he's carrying the red hat, the bags for her. Every time it goes away from that, because they are clearly in front of rear projection, they're walking probably on treadmills. And every time she would look to her left, or they would be like, look up ahead, and they would go to a different angle, it looks different. And you don't see those people like past them in their rear projection. And there's something charming about it. There's an artifice that they could get away with back then that we cannot get away with now. Like it's, it just doesn't work. This is supposed to be realistic, what we're looking at. Which again is why it takes you back. And I guess I want to ask you guys again. For me, I think the crop dusting sequence is one of the best things he ever did. And might be like the best example of his work. There's very, very, very minimal dialogue. It's suspense driven by music. Visual motifs. Yeah, the lack of the music until does the music kick in when it does start?
Right at the
coming
end.
At him.
No,
but
no, it doesn't.
Beginning,
there's nothing when it's coming at him. It's right at the end when it hits the truck.
When it hits the truck,
that's the first time you get music.
It does kick in then, yeah.
In every other version of like the parody ones, it kicks in then, but it's usually like in every other version that you see in other films, the music kicks in when it turns towards whoever the protagonist is.
It's great. Yeah. Right. So do you guys did y'all get some good feelings when you were watching that? Like every time I see that sequence, I just feel like it's perfect.
I want to tell you
there's nothing wrong with it.
Something important about that sequence isn't just that sequence and the way it's edited and the subtle way they bring the plane around. That's just offhand comment. It's everything leading up to it from when he gets off the bus. because they make you wait.
Yeah.
And you're waiting, and you're like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? There's this looming danger in the background. You don't even notice yet.
No, I'm starting from the
bus.
The dissolve out of there into him getting dropped off. That amazing high tower shot that establishes
and
it is so long.
He gets dropped off at
such a long shot.
Literal crossroads.
All of the composition, I mean, everything, the converging lines, like the disappearing perspective, like all the stuff, like everything was so clearly planned out. But the patience it has, I mean, if you made that just as a short film, I don't know, I could talk about it forever. But I just feel like that is like, this movie is heightened so much because of that sequence. Because there's so much dialogue in a lot of the other moments. And I feel like all of his movies, the best parts of his movies for me are when everybody shuts up and the person is actually amidst their struggle. It's Jimmy Stewart with the camera trying to figure out what he's looking at, not when people are in the room and he's talking to them about what he's looking at. In Rear Window, yeah. So I love his dynamic that James Mason and Cary Grant have, especially when he comes to the auction. Like at that point, there's like a shamelessness to him. He's like, he's so over it in a sense.
And also, there's some serious Bond villain dialogue in that scene.
Yeah, he does. He seems very much like he talks like Basil.
James Mason.
But he actually, yeah. I agree. Well, just to go back to the crop dusting sequence, what really got me this time too, you talk about short films, it's really the moments before. And so Ava Marie Saint is amazing in this film. She's really, 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 really great. And she really helps, we're saying like there's not a lot of substance, but her and Cary Grant make it seem like there is. They really do. It takes a couple watches before you realize that not a lot of depth is in this movie.
Their chemistry is crazy.
Because their chemistry has a lot of depth and it's important. And eventually you find out that her predicament is deep. That is actually nuanced. Her predicament is pretty nuanced. Not the most unusual or extravagant thing we've ever seen in movies, but pretty not easy. Some femme fatales it's easier. This is pretty crazy for her. We see the Porter sequence. He's shaving. He gets away with that. But then we also see that she's talking on the phone with our antagonist, and we also see that she gives him news. And you can't tell if she's trying to shake our villain. You can't tell if she's trying to save him or help him. You don't know if they're ever going to see each other again. She says to get off on this bus to go to this very obscure stop. So you don't really know what is leading up to this. You know that this is a pivotal scene. It's a pivotal sequence. And nobody thinks that it's going to go cleanly. Exactly. So to me, it's that. And then the waiting after all of that. And I'm left not just sitting there with what's his next move, but I'm also like kind of still digesting that train sequence with her and how it ended and who's who and who's what. And then once the other guy at the other bus stop is very Scarecrow, John, the Al Pacino, Gene Hackman movie. Once the other guy is like, the bus is here. Oh, that's weird. That crop dusting plane is cropped in where there ain't no crops. All right, see ya. Gets on the bus and then it's like, that propels the scene. That's almost like the moment before. It's I don't know. I think that really caught me by surprise. So when you get to the James Mason sequences later, James Mason has this thing where he seems very casual about it, but the actor has done the work to put in I know what you've been through and I can't believe you're here and I have to just laugh about it right now, which adds a whole lot of nuance to that auction scene.
You're right, and I do want to credit. And I think we talked about this for the first time in Psycho. And I can't remember the first time we talked about a Hitchcock movie before, but he has this ability to linger in a sequence that I'm just so jealous of. That I think nowadays with movies, of course, pacing is faster. We tend to, plot. We want to move the story forward so bad. And, sometimes that can be really fun. I'm not just criticizing it, but he will just fucking sit in a sequence. And the substance reveals itself by the fact that you are living through the sequence almost in real time. That train sequence could have been done in like 5 minutes. There is another version of this story where that information is given much faster. She seduces him, hides him, he gets off, and he has to find his next piece of information. That's really all that
And she was a spy all along, even in 5 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. It created that lingering thing. I think it lends itself, and I know he does all of his stuff super intentionally. It lends itself to like, why are we here so long? Why are we spending so much time just watching them talk to each other at a dining table? And it does. You're right. I think you're convincing me here even more that the substance of their relationships and the way they're talking to each other, that is actually going to be the main device of suspense, is how are they going to play each other moving forward? Because I think everybody, even the first time when you watch this, you have a hunch that she can't be entirely sincere, right? There's something off. You don't know who she's working for, but
she lets you know right away. She lets you know right away when she's sitting at the chair and she's talking to him coolly. That's not just how women talk to men back then. There's something, yeah.
Mm-mm.
Although I did want to shout out, we're here. I'm glad we're here, and I'm glad you made your comment at the beginning. I wonder if Hitchcock was thinking about the sexual revolution that was going on and the birth control stuff. Like, this was a very sexually exploitive conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, do you know what I'm saying? And he says, let me think. Yes, I think I do know what you mean. Remember that? Do you know what I mean?
He was definitely being a gentleman about it.
I do know what you mean.
Well, and when they're saying lines like some people use sex the way some people use a fly swatter, to think that Friends had trouble like talking about they had to dance, and Seinfeld had to say yada 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 30 years later, 35 years later. Yeah. And of course, Hitchcock he's one of the famous like unattractive men who directs attractive women, and apparently, years later we think there might have been, because whatever, all the stories from The Birds and stuff, but in actuality maybe he's just a realist and understood, and I don't know, maybe everybody was just self-aware, and it was a really good moment for this pretty bold character to push some boundaries.
Honestly, though, I do want to. We're kind of making fun of it, but I want to celebrate what, in a way, I think was fairly progressive at the time. Like, she did not come off at all to me like a hussy or
no
slut or anything like that. Like, she felt like she seemed like her role that she was an industrial designer. You believe these things, right? And I'm still not even sure if she ever was or wasn't. I don't think she was any of those things, but she seemed like a woman who was a working woman who saw a man that she wanted. And I don't know. I was pretty moved by that. And just they maintained that kind of shamelessness throughout. Their romance was explicitly linked to their sexual attraction, which again leads itself to more of in terms of substance. Maybe this isn't the deepest romance, and I bet they won't make it. But in terms of a story that revolves around sex and death, which is kind of what I feel like he was kind of navigating through most of this, they ended up being very, very useful elements, because I don't think, Dave, tell me, but I don't think the first time I saw it, and it always kind of surprises me how specifically upset he is at her.
Yeah.
Like, all the things that are happening to him, and he has his feelings hurt by this woman who used him for sex. Like, that's, I don't know. There's also commentary on the masculinity thing there for me as well from Hitchcock. I think that was interesting. They're like, you can point all your guns at me and try to kill me, but this woman used me.
Yeah.
And like the role reversal of that, it's just, I don't know, it is kind of fascinating. And I love that it's Cary Grant.
The fact that he just can't process that as well is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's something so it never feels gross or like threatening in kind of a male gaze kind of gross way when he turns it around and he's genuinely mad at her. That could seem scary and not cool to watch if the wrong actor was doing that. But for some reason, you're just so charmed by him the entire time.
Remember when graying men could be, fuckable leading men? For lack of a more PG.
How old do you think he's supposed? Jeff, we laugh about this all the time, but like, how old do you think his character is supposed to be in this movie? Like 35?
Yeah,
I think
pushing
so,
40. And 30,
late 30s, but probably not 40 yet.
Yeah.
No, I would say so.
Yeah, and she's supposed to be 26. I mean, it's crazy, right? Like,
well, it's like the technology. They worked with what they had.
Yeah, but we said that, Dave. A recurring theme. Also, guys, come on.
They still look very good. She is very attractive. That woman is and beautiful.
Guys, Martin Landau is the villain. The ultimate, he's not James Mason, but that's Martin Landau. It was Leonard.
It was the young guy. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Unbelievable.
And then the maid that just comes out of nowhere with the gun at the end. I mean, come on. Who ends up maybe being married to one of them? It's just, come on. It's fun shit. It is popcorn stuff. It's cheap thrills in a way. If you watch it over and over again, you're like, wait a second. The first time it gets you.
It gave me Raiders of the Lost Ark feel a little.
Yeah, exactly.
With some of the swagger where you've just got this guy swaggering through these situations. and he's not always in control of them, but he's always got a line.
Just straight up
but
adventure.
Also,
yeah, you're right.
The other film it reminded me of was the Sandra Bullock film, The Net. Where they do it from the internet perspective. Like the internet they use in that movie is laughable now, but she like gets her whole life upended, and they end up taking over her whole life, and like it. I feel like having watched it, if I watched them in the other order, I'd be like, oh, I know where they got the idea for this, because
all Hitchcock films.
Yeah, the Net specifically lends itself to. I feel like it does draw a lot from this.
North by Northwest, The Man Who Knew Too Much, The Wrong Man. Yeah. I think these titles. No. I agree. I think this is one. Where would you guys put this? I said it's probably around my fourth or fifth, but I feel like it's so famous because of this crop dusting sequence is referenced in like everything.
It's a meme.
Yeah,
it was popular. The first meme.
People in the theater who saw
if you were to introduce someone to Hitchcock, I don't know if I would start with this one.
Nah,
but it would be in my short list. I would be like, and this is if you're gonna watch 3 to 5, I would put this in there, and you just watch it whenever you want.
If someone was committing to 10, I'd put this at 3 or 4, and I would say this is his Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think that's a great reference, Dave. That plane sequence is like the Rock. It's like the opening sequence where Andie has to escape, and it's like, holy shit, I can't believe movies can do that. But that's not the movie. That's the whole movie. You know what I mean? That's awesome. Even Mount Rushmore, I don't know if it's like Richie Rich made Mount Rushmore look more realistic to me, but the excitement of this was, but it's really fun. And again, if you just watch it one time, it's really exciting. It's really cool. You don't notice the things that we're talking. I don't think you don't notice that the first time.
That and I know we could say this for all of his. I have had the pleasure of seeing a couple of his films on the big screen, and it's a totally different experience. He's composing. Right. Can you imagine seeing some of these big sequences? We're talking Mount Rushmore and the crop dust, all that shit.
People were shouting. People were probably yelling in the theater the first time they saw it.
It was probably magnificent seeing it across 80 feet of also some giant movieplex.
Yeah. Also, the sense of adventure would be better in a group. Because I know when my wife sat down and started watching this with me, we had more fun. We were talking about it. We were back and forth. It was like, someone would throw a joke in. It was this is definitely lends itself to a communal experience.
And
dude, you're totally right.
Especially women who were like teens in the 50s and stuff, they fucking love Cary Grant and Jimmy Stewart and all the rest. But like, they probably are like, if they saw him, they're like, oh my God, you survived that plane fight. Because like they probably when that happened, they were not expecting that.
Man
so
versus
it probably
plane.
Was like a visceral experience. Yeah, that plane got really low. He was in the corn, and that plane almost like took him out.
And that's back when they didn't care. They just kill actors willy-nilly.
Yeah, but not stars. That studio would be pissed at that director. All right, friends. Well, any other last short little segments you want to throw in there? Anything you missed? I love the one line I want to say, and this is a line that could come right out of a Hitchcock film. I just said Hitchcock. Wow. Right out of a fucking Kubrick film. War is hell, Mr. Thornhill, even if it's a cold one. Those, there's like a lot of really good. That's good shit. That's really good grounded shit. That's good.
Yeah. I would like to say that a 70mm print of this does exist. So if you get a chance, that's probably the way to watch it.
Yeah, good call. Yeah. I think I gushed about my favorite moments. I think aside from lines, I think a lot of my favorite parts about this movie are the silent action sequences, for lack of a better word. They might be his best silent action sequences, which is saying something. Cool.
All right. Let's do it. We're going to spin the random year generator.
We're going to
We did it. We're going to find a year of what we're going to be talking about next week. We're not going to choose the movie until the end of the episode.
Also, I should point out that last week we ran out of numbers on the generator, so I restarted the generator, so we may get.
Wait, we didn't go through it. We haven't done 100 episodes since we've done this.
Yeah, I think so. It's at least
we haven't
52.
done every year. There's no way we've done every year.
No.
What was 1973?
I can't remember.
We just did that one, didn't we?
It's a drinking podcast, dude. Anyway, here we go.
Is this a repeat? Are you teasing us? All right, we're in the 2000s. 2001.
Oh, yeah. All right.
2001.
All
Not
right.
A Space Odyssey, people. The year 2001. Yeah. We're not going to Google it, even though I want to. We are going to do What You've Been Watching, give you our recommendations, let you know what we've been watching. Dave, we'd like to start with you. Anything on the docket this week besides Cary the musical?
Well, I did sneak. No. I was done with Cary. I was doing a lyrics and lyricist thing up at a different theater.
Don't listen to me, Dave. Don't listen to me. I know we talked about this.
It was Hammerstein this time. Anyway,
so cool.
I did. Like last week, I was raving about The Babysitter. I thought I had so much fun watching it. I'm going to watch The Babysitter too. It just gets ridiculous and so much fun. They upped the ante on everything. They brought back some original cameos. It's got a very young Jenna Ortega in it. It's fun.
Wait, what? This is a movie called The Babysitter?
Yeah, it's the Babysitter is about a kid who he stays up to find out whether, because his friend teases him, says that she's having sex in your house, so he stays up to watch. And it turns out she brings friends over and sacrifices someone. She's part of a satanic cult.
Wow.
And it just gets.
What is this on? I've never heard of this.
It's from Netflix.
Okay.
So I watched that. Then I started watching Babysitter 2. I'm not to the end of it yet, but it's just as fucking funny. Like the kills are great, and the dialogue in it is insanely funny. It just gets considering the situation. Like it's very situational. The dialogue does not match what's going on, but that's all I can say. And I'm still powering through Agatha, which is a fucking phenomenal series. And the last episode that they did was edited all out of sequence, and the editing was phenomenal. Whoever kept track of the fucking slide rule to design that episode, deserves an award.
Wow. So it's not finished yet?
No, it's got 2 episodes to go, I think.
I miss the pandemic. Obviously not for the pandemic, but I do miss the fact that I watched so much TV back then. Commuting makes it hard to watch things. Okay, John.
Yeah. I still have not started Penguin, unfortunately. Sorry, Dave, but I promise I will. But I did take a chance, and I watched on the first 4 episodes of the Disclaimer, that series with Kate Blanchett, Kevin Kline, Alfonso Cuarón, Chivo.
Fun.
Was it as advertised? Or was it good?
It's worth. No, I think there's some real meat to that.
Cool.
If you only watch the first episode, I could see how a lot of people would think this is maybe more of a highbrow filmmaking approach to limited television. But the story really gets going in the second episode because of the nature of this story. So without giving anything away, just since we have a little bit of a platform here, there are a few different perspectives in this story, and it takes a full episode into the second one, I think, before you start to understand the use of that, the application of that, the way they work with voiceover, and just to really get into the meaty part of the initial inciting incident. It isn't super exposed, and people aren't really freaking out and fighting about it until the second episode.
There you go, folks. Don't believe anything you read on the internet. Just listen to us.
I mean, anyway, I'd be curious to hear what you guys think. It feels very.
I feel like I do
very
much
right. I think you should. It feels. I mean, it's beautiful. Of course, it's gorgeous, and I could see some people thinking this might be too filmy for me. Every shot looks like this beautiful shot.
There's such a thing.
But as you can imagine, it's best parts of the show. It's very erotic too, you guys. The sex is crazy.
Just wrap a plug in
very erotic. Anyway, I've been watching that, so I'm excited to keep going. I have a feeling it's just going to keep building and building in quality. And it's probably going to be something really wonderful.
Is this the one that Nicole Kidman said they had to stop shooting for the day because she got sick of orgasming? Or something?
Nicole Kidman? She's not in this.
Okay, so it was something else. I think it was Nicole Kidman said that. Yeah.
Okay. No, this is Kate Blanchett, Kevin Kline.
It's a hell of a quote.
And younger versions of themselves have all the sex.
Okay.
So these flashbacks are younger people, newer actors that I had not seen I'm sure they're working, but I had not seen them before. And
Welcome to Hollywood.
Damn.
Fonzo. He's an Oscar, so. Okay. I basically saw one thing because I watched the Yankees and the Dodgers and twice. That was hard. That was hours of my life. I could have watched an entire miniseries in the amount of time I watched the Yankees break my fucking heart. My blood pressure is 300 over 200.
Is that what it is right now?
Yeah. Oh, is it? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, they don't call them the chokies for nothing.
I mean, on Friday night, could have seen
football,
movie,
right?
could have seen a series. I went to a bar at 7:30, and because it went into 10 innings, we didn't leave the bar until well after 11:30, just so that I can get a walk-off grand slam hit against me. It was really tough. Okay, so I did that, but I did see a film, and I watched it with Angela. We were pretty happy to watch it. Are you ready? I finally saw Maxine.
Yeah,
I'd seen
watched
X
that
and
too.
Pearl,
How was it?
which is fun. I saw X like 3 times. I saw Pearl once.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's that good.
It sucks.
All of them or Maxine?
Wait, Dave, you buzzed me too, Dave.
I haven't seen any of those movies, you guys.
No,
Are they worth watching?
Maxine's the worst.
X is definitely worth watching.
Because I left all these out, but like I watched Sinister and Conjure. I've been watching some true horror, October, but I thought about taking a chance on these movies, and I haven't seen them yet.
X is fun.
Okay.
You agree though, Dave, right? Maxine, it's like what?
Yeah, Maxine didn't know what it wanted to be, and
That's right. It looked like somebody that like their student film that they made for nothing. Like all of a sudden they got like a couple $1 million to make a movie, and they get to finally do it. But this is his. X and Pearl came out basically the same year. They were huge hits. He has the same lead, and then it was going to be like this homage to old Hollywood, but with this fuck you attitude, with this porn star.
Yeah.
She's a serious actress, but she does porn because she needs to build up some credibility. And this whole fuck you to the man, and she like stiletto stomps a dude's nutsack in the movie, and it's really exciting. And it was supposed to be this whole like it's supposed to all be like a big fuck you to Hollywood, like Maxine kick shit.
The ending is just ridiculous.
The editing is bad. The script writing is really bad.
No,
the ending is horrible. The ending is horrible. And they do like split screens at some point that are
positive
just
film
really
podcast.
They do a split screen at the end, like in the middle. That's like really child. It's just not. It's not smart or good. And they got big stars. I mean, they got Kevin Bacon to do one of the most gruesome deaths of the year.
Did you watch anything
awesome,
you liked?
No.
Yeah, you've had a tough week, haven't you?
Just one more Only Murders, and I actually lied to you before when I said I watched Furiosa. I didn't finish it, so I finished Furiosa, and that was just as good as I said last time. It was fine. It was fine. It was fine. It was good. It was fine.
Oh, that's fine. Have you guys, like I said, have y'all not been watching any like horror movies? It's October. It's almost Halloween.
The Babysitters movies are billed as horror movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why we watched Maxine. I thought Maxine was going to be a thriller of some kind. Horror.
Yeah, I said I watched Maxine as well because they finally dropped it. And I'm like, sweet, I can finally watch this. And yeah.
I am listening to a Kubrick biography, and definitely makes me want to watch The Shining. I haven't watched it yet this year.
I just watched it. Remember, I bought it twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The extended version of Dr. Sleep, the director's cut, is on Amazon apparently.
Huh? Whoa, I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, neither did I.
Cool. I got to finish Bly Manor. I started that a few weeks ago, and I just didn't finish it.
That's fun. That's
another
fun.
Mike Flanagan.
That's fun.
Yeah, I like Mike Flanagan. He's good.
Yes.
A little Strangers element.
Let's take a little break here.
Listen to some Dasein. We'll get back to you in a second, film fans, with our choice for next week. 2001, the year Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings came out.
All right, and we're back.
And we're back. Oh my God, people, we're going to 2001.
I have the audio,
year.
but you'll never know what he just said.
We have the year.
Dave, they'll never know.
Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Monsters, Inc., Shrek, Ocean's 11, Pearl Harbor, Mummy Returns, Jurassic Park 3. Fuck Shrek. You're only saying that because it's Mark's birthday to the day this episode comes back. Fuck Shrek. Even
Happy
though
birthday,
Matt
Mark,
was the one.
Stupid bastard.
Matt was the one who said justice for Shrek, not even Mark. Guys, we are in 2024. We do the random year generator, but we also do the setup for the year. So we decided that a good relevant movie for us to cover is Steven Spielberg's via Stanley Kubrick's AI, Artificial Intelligence. We are going to talk about it. Steven Spielberg in the 2000s, his first real soiree.
Cool.
That was my stomach. Are you guys ready? Can't wait. Anything else you want to say before we...
Into what? What was the rest of
it's not soiree, it's Sersha. Yeah.
We're at hour 2. We're at our third hour here. I don't remember what I just said. See you next week, film fans.
We'll see you next week, folks.
AI.